go. Okay. I'd like to call to order the Oklahoma City Board of Adjustment meeting, January 21st. If anyone's got a cell phone or something noisy, if you'd silence that this time. The first item is the approval of the minutes of the prior meeting.
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
So everybody's here. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the prior meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? They're approved. Next item is request for continuances and withdrawals.
We have one item, item number 3, case number 13206, continue for 60 days to March 18th.
Okay. Is there anyone in opposition to the continuance of item number 3? Okay. Motion?
Motion to continue.
Second.
Motion and second to continue item number 3 until March 18th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That one is continued. Okay. We have items requiring separate vote.
Item number 1, case number 13215, request for use variance of GLB exploration for permit to drill an oil and gas well in AA District located at 15801 South MacArthur Boulevard.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members. Wayne Smith, 7011 North Robinson. I'm here on behalf of the applicant GLB Exploration. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. This is a case where we're requesting a variance to drill an oil and gas well in an undeveloped agricultural area. There's some comments in the staff report concerning the floodway. Realize those are in place. I'm going to have some discussions with the Public Works Department as to what we'll really have to do there. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
I don't really have any questions as long as you're complying with all the other requirements. Does anybody have any questions?
I don't know. Do we need to condition it with the what's suggested here, that extra 4? Okay. And you agree to the staff report and those extra conditions that are?
Yes, sir. We do. Like I said, I'll be working with the Public Works Department on this floodway issue as to what would be necessary to do there in detail.
Move to approve with the conditions as stated in the staff report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this application as conditioned. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 2, case number 13216, request of Adam Tui for a variance to permit the construction of a new home in an existing residential neighborhood that will encroach on a 15-foot side yard setback requirement in the R1 district located at 3551 Northwest 22nd Street.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission. My name is William O'Brien. I'm the applicant's counsel. We furnish you with the information and support of our application. My client, Mr. Adam Atui, is here. If you have any questions, we respectfully request consideration of Mr. Atui's appeal. And we would point out that the board said that in the favorable considerations, the staff indicates that, quote, home and accessory structures built with minimal or no side setbacks are common in this neighborhood and other neighborhoods of this area. And we've also...
Do you want to address the next one after that?
Well, I believe that was unfavorable considerations, yes.
All right.
Yes, sir. They are substantial, but our research indicates my client has gone and measured other ones, and there are other ones throughout the adjacent homes. And he has the actual addresses in the court, which, if you all wish to view them. Yeah, I want to...
the one statutory requirement that usually catches me the most on this is the question of whether or not it's the minimum necessary variance to alleviate the hardship.
Right.
So, in my mind, that's one. In this case, we need to establish that this is the minimum necessary that is required to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And as we point out in our application, the fact that there is a commercial structure on the neighboring street, a all-night Mexican restaurant and so he wishes to minimize the noise he has to deal with from that. We feel this is the least intrusive under these circumstances.
If the house was designed differently where, say, the garage was side-loaded off of St. Clair, you could actually have more of those rooms farther south and possibly not have to have this pushed out to the sight line or to the property line.
I think it will be the same issue. It's the same thing. It's the setback. I will be still building the garage on the setback.
Well, it's a 47-foot wide lot, which is 3 foot less than a typical city lot, and infill homes are built all the time that comply with that. So, I mean, I might be willing to grant the 3 feet, but I feel it's pretty excessive.
And we feel under these circumstances that this commission does have the authority to grant this, and that there's not an unreasonable request on the part of a property owner based on the existing situation in that neighborhood, sir.
Well, here again, I mean, in listening to that conversation, we really have to have a strong argument as to why this is the minimum variance to grant. And if there's alternatives to that, then that opens up questions on answering that way.
Well, the front of the property is 47 feet wide, so I took the 5 feet actually setback requirement from the east side, and I left it so I end up with 42 frontage, and that's how I designed the plan. And the way I designed the plan is that the rooms are facing actually toward the south of the property as far as possible, so to reduce the minimum noise. If I go with the setback 15 foot from the west side of the property will be so narrow actually, and I will be probably very much close to a drive-through that belongs to that property behind, the business behind my property. And it's a non-stop business, 24/7. And I was trying to be away from it and reduce the noise. That's why I included in my design to be at the front. And yet I have to respect another 25 feet from the front as a setback. So I'm really complying with 25 feet in the front and 5 feet from the east side of the property. And I'm only willing just to build on the west side because that's the only alternative actually left me with based on these circumstances.
Well, that's because you desire to have the garage where it's placed.
Excuse me, sir?
Yeah, that's because you desire to have the garage where you placed it? I mean, there are other designs that would work on this lot, I think.
Yeah, I looked actually in flipping actually the design, but I still the driveway will be on the setback as well. So I flipped it on the design, and I just couldn't come up with any better design than that one.
But it seems like you've chosen this plan, and you're trying to make it fit to this site versus having a plan that's actually designed to meet the constraints of this site. I mean, you're trying to force a square peg into a round hole, so to speak, seems like.
Well, I looked actually, to the neighborhood and the area, and the house next to me is 24 foot actually from the curve. Some houses are not all the same. I mean, there is a 16 foot on the St. Clair Avenue. Some of them, they are like 17, 16, 22, I believe. So I'm really, asking you for, for understanding actually my circumstances and granting me actually this. I really rely on your support, to go ahead and do this, because I'm not creating any hardship on anyone. I'm trying just to build in it's just my own place. I'm not really a developer looking for investing. And this is just my own place.
Well, building lines and setbacks are developed for a certain reason, you know? And so there's got to be something peculiar about this lot that causes you not to be able to, there's nothing peculiar about this lot that causes you to have to do it this way. And, so there wouldn't be any reason then everybody would just come to us and say, here's a lot and we want to do it a certain way. There wouldn't be any reason for all these setbacks and everything. There's a reason for them. And the fact that there are other homes in the area may be of some consequence, that that the area is developed in a certain way or it needs to be that way, but certainly not everything in the area is developed that way. And but this certainly doesn't seem to meet the test of the minimum necessary to build on this lot, And I'm just having trouble getting over that deal. We can have whatever discussion you want to have about it. I'm just telling you the problem.
I understand your misgivings. And I understand no one else has objected, that we have not received any objection for any of the neighbors. Yeah. And the property was plotted in 2028, so this is going, pre-depression, and it's become more developed since that time. There's a lot more traffic and commercial activity since that time.
You've made an argument about trying to distance yourself or to buffer yourself against the commercial lot, and there's other ways to do that in this lot rather than pushing it, or rather than building it this way.
Okay.
I think I still, no matter what, I still have to be in compliance with the front setback, which is
Yes.
25 foot from the property. If I take the 15 and the 5, that's 20 feet minus 47. I will be having a 27-foot narrow property, actually, and it's going to be look like a strip, actually. And if we put a garage at the front or even in the side, it's going to take maybe 22 foot wise, and even the shape of the house or the look, the neighborhood is going to look at what the weird house looks like, because it's going to be very strip and hitting all the way probably back to the drive-through actually problems that I'm facing day and night. So I'm trying to be away from it as much as possible, yet respecting the other requirement as much as possible. So I'm really requesting the approval for my application based on these circumstances. I really rely on this, and I just wanted to build, and please just help me out.
You want to do it because you want to do it, okay? And we can't make that decision. Okay, we have to make the decision based on the circumstances of the property. Okay?
You've actually just described a solution.
Sure. I really looked into flipping the house, different angle, but I just couldn't figure out best way to do it except the way that in which I did present my application with.
Those are all the comments I've got.
We'll consult with staff if they say no. If the board wishes, we can consult with staff to see what they feel would be appropriate. Would that be?
If you'd like to have some time to further consider this, is what you're saying?
Well, I'm just getting the impression the board's not too enthused at the request, and I was wondering if, and you're
Yeah, we don't, or I don't feel at least that everything's been explored or whether we've been given information, as to ways to minimize the impact of it.
I'm struggling that the statutory standards have been met, so.
Okay. And so if you'd like additional time, you might, if you have additional time to give consideration to this, you might want to put it off for a little bit and see if there's other ways to mitigate the issue.
What do you feel? Shall I proceed? Do we want more time to maybe come up with some alternatives? Okay. Maybe could we have a moment, we'll confer, and then we'll...
Sure, sure. We're going to move on to the next item and then reconsider this. All right. Let's go on to the next item.
Item number 4, case number 13214, request of Mary Davidson for a variance to permit the construction of a detached carport in the rear yard, a side yard awning, and a front carport in the R1 district, located at 2005 Northwest 35th Street.
Hello, I'm Mary Davidson, 2005 Northwest 35th Street, and I apologize for being here in that I was not aware I needed building permits, and so someone turned me in and I went to get the permits, and everything I did was wrong with the things that I had done. So I'm here to ask for variances on those, and the things that are unique to my property are the fact that I have 10 lots, whereas a lot of the properties are like 2 and 3 lots. So I have a long property, and I have built some very, very nice structures, and so I'm asking for your approval on these variances. And I did go knock on my neighbor's doors and visit with my neighbors, especially my neighbor across the street, who I look at his house and he looks at my house, and he absolutely had no objection whatsoever, and none of the people that I talked to did. There are some people that live on Westmont behind me who did write an opposition, and I think that in the opposition they mentioned that the structures were unsightly and overbuilt, but the structures definitely are not unsightly and are built proportionately, I think, according to the property. And anyway, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Do we have a letter against this? I don't have one here. These are in support, aren't they?
Some of the packet.
Huh? Oh, I see. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I got it. There it is. Oh, yeah. No, I read these before. That's right. Well, you have some favorable considerations on parts of them. The staff's main one negative comment on it was the one in front.
Right. And I am actually agreeable to do whatever you all suggest on that. I do want to point out that that my house was built in 1950, and I'm not sure what the setback requirements were for then at that time, but my house is really the only house on 35th Street that sets up as far as it does. Any of the rest of the houses on 35th, the carport would not be a problem, whatsoever. But as far as that is concerned, I am willing, of course I'll do whatever you
You're willing to
all say.
modify that?
I am.
Have you spoken with the folks who put it up and asked them about modifying it, if it would be, I've driven by and looked at the property. Do you know the overall length of that, first off, the front carport? Do you know the length of that carport in the front?
It's 21.
21.
And I did talk to them and asked them if they could cut that back by 3 feet or, whatever. And they said yes, that, that could be done. I mean, for a price, of course. But, I'm willing to, to just do whatever I need to do.
So whoever put that up didn't offer to discuss permits with you?
No, and, it is interesting, and like I say, ignorance of the law is no excuse, so I do apologize for that, but over the years, I've talked to lots and lots of people about different things in that I'm always thinking of some way to improve my property. Not that, I really didn't have the money to, but I did, make contact with people, and no one has ever mentioned a permit. Now, I knew that you needed a permit for a fence, which, I have never put up a fence, so it makes no sense that I didn't know that, but I didn't, and no one mentioned it.
Well, we're not going to get in the middle of a private contract, but seems funny if they're in that business that they wouldn't know something.
I know, it does. I'm surprised too.
Just thinking out loud.
No, not the people that I bought it from, or when they came out to put it up, they didn't say, "Can we see your permit?" Or,
Yeah.
I would have been happy to get a permit, I promise you, because
Yeah.
this stress, I would have definitely avoided this stress.
I do tend to agree with staff's comments about the front carport. And again, like I said, I have driven by, and you also do have an unusual circumstance that along your block, you are the house that is farthest forward. But it would be nice to see that front carport come back, at least off of the right-of-way,
Right.
which would lessen its effect. I drove down the street a couple of times, and it really
Oh, did
does.
you drive
It really
by?
does stand out quite a bit, and it really is kind of noticeable how far out it does sit. If it's 21 feet currently, if you reduced it at least by 3 feet, that would get to 18 feet, which is still the length of a typical vehicle.
Right, and, I definitely have no problem with that. Like I say, I did talk to them, they said, that they would, I don't know the cost of that or any of that, but...
It looks like it could be somewhat fairly easily modified. I was looking at the way it was put together.
That's the only one that has a lot of visual impact, I think,
Right.
of the group.
The side porch, because of that alley, doesn't have a whole lot of visual impact.
Right.
so. Like I said, I would like to see it come back to 18 feet. I would like to see it come off of the right-of-way, and if the carport is indeed longer than 21 feet, I would like to see it come back even farther. I'd like to see it come back to 18 feet, which would at least get it off. But if it's 22 feet or 24 feet, I would still like to see it come back to an 18-foot depth.
Yeah, it is just 21.
It is just
so
21,
to bring
okay.
it back 3 feet would bring it right, right back to where, yes.
Any further
Positive
discussion?
note, that would,
Huh?
on a positive note, then she wouldn't have to get a revocable permit.
Right.
And go through that process.
Right.
And pay that fee, and
Right, definitely.
Have a motion?
Motion to approve as, with the revision that the carport length be revised back to 18 feet.
Or to get it off the right-of-way if it's based on her 21-foot. Yeah, a second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the application as conditioned. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? You're approved.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I've conferred with my client, and we would respectfully request that this matter be stricken from today's docket. We're going to talk to, review our options here, maybe talk to some staff, if that's possible, to see what proposals would be, we could do in the alternative.
So you're requesting a continuance?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if we don't have a meeting, we may not have a meeting on the next scheduled meeting,
Okay.
if that's
That's fine with us.
I might just continue it to February 18th.
February 18th.
Okay.
Give you plenty of time to get it all figured out.
All right. Thank you.
Good, okay.
Motion to continue it to the February 18th meeting.
You second that?
Second it.
Okay, motion and second to continue it to February 18th. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you then.
Thank you.
I think that's the last item, isn't it? Okay.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
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 We're adjourned. Yeah.